Hey, beautiful family. I have a serious topic I'd like to discuss today. And it's serious because it's been something that's been occurring for years and it's still occurring. And I'm just a little shocked about it because it happens so frequently. And I thought that by now a lot of us women would be on guard, but it seems like we're not. It seems like what's very important to us is having a man in our lives. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a man in your life. God made man for woman and vice versa. But at the expense of hurting your children or putting your children in harm's way is a whole different story. I talk to a lot of young people. I love young people, always have. I always found conversation with them to be very interesting. I like to see their views on certain things. And because I'm open with them, they're open with me, and they share so much details about their lives, their relationships with their mothers and fathers and stuff like that, and how a lot of women are at odds with their mom. A lot of daughters and moms are not on the best of terms, and it's due to the mother's lack of protection. And it also has to do with the father not being home too. Everything trickles down, but I digress. Daddies should be in the home to protect their children. And some daddies are hurt and harming their children, which is insane. Your own seed, your own flesh. But of course, by now you probably know this topic is about molestation. And I just want to talk about it a little bit because I'm so tired of having this conversation recently. Like two more young ladies. I've spoken to a young lady that was molested 3 times. People in the family, mama's boyfriends. And I'm not understanding. I understand it takes a village to raise children. I'm not knocking anybody because this parenting thing is not easy. It's not. And we all kind of winging it. The first child you have, you're kind of winging it. You really are. You're trying to get adjusted to the fact that you have another little person in your life that you're responsible for and requires everything it needs from you. And it could be overwhelming depending on your personality type and perhaps your character. Depending on those circumstances, it could be very hard and daunting. I personally have dreamed about being a mother since I was a little girl. I used to pretend my dolls were my babies, and I took good care of them. And when my brother punched my dolls in the face, I cried. I was very upset about the situation because my baby dolls were real to me. So I had practice when I was a little girl. My dolls were my babies. I'm not lying. Bathing them, putting Vaseline on them, powder, brushing their teeth with my toothbrush. Yes, I was crazy like that. Yeah, I was prepping for mommyhood because I've always loved babies. And I believe that our children deserve to be protected. If we brought them in this world, whether it was wanted, unexpected, or whatever it was, they're here and they're our responsibility. And some of us are overwhelmed by being a parent and we're neglecting our children. And I just wanted to address that a little bit. And I know it's not easy also to get impregnated by a man and he's gone. So now you're left to do it by yourself. So it's a lot emotionally, financially, and all of the good stuff. And a lot of us want to have a partner and we go get partners. And sometimes there's partners, several of them, running through these men looking for Mr. Right. And we're not doing it the correct way. And then our children are suffering for it because they see men in and out. We're setting examples for our children. And they see men in and out. Meanwhile, men are coming in and out and harming children, boys and girls, harming them. And when I talk to these ladies, I can't tell you all the specifics of the situations. I'm not going to do all that. But it's just sad because I'm wondering why mothers pretend that they don't see that something's wrong with their children. We're not as close or as loving and caring for our children as we ought to be. Children act out when these things happen. They either become introverted or their behaviors are bad. Something's going on. And the parents are ignoring it. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with that child. Why she act like that? How about you ask them, talk to them. Instead of beating them down, fussing at them all the time, punishing them, talk to them. Sit down with them and talk to them. Ask them what's going on. And make it a relationship where they feel comfortable talking to you about anything. You have to open those doors of communication so that you can help protect your child better. And firstly, allowing some man to come in with your children and leaving them. I never understood that part about, women going off to work or school at night and leaving their children with a man who's not their father. And I don't care how wonderful he comes off, that just don't sit well with me. And maybe, because I don't want to be too harsh on women who felt like they married a man and he's a good guy and you need his help. Because that's the whole point in being married, to help one another out, help one another navigate in this crazy place. And so you have every intention of having a good relationship. So you're not thinking like that. But unfortunately, you do have to think like that, because it's best to nip that in the bud or stop it from occurring before being so relaxed and allowing it to happen, because you can't take back the pain that the child is experiencing, and you have to deal with that for the rest of your life. And it's like, it's not something that you want to have your child to experience. It's terrible. And a lot of these women, they're saying that their mothers knew. I'm like, how do you know that the man you're dealing with is doing this to your child, and then you continue to sleep with him? For the life of me, and y'all excuse me, I can't imagine being that desperate for love and that horny to open myself up to a man who is abusing my child, my baby, a person I carried in my womb. I can't even imagine. I don't understand it. And I understand that women have been abused themselves. So I'm thinking, if you were abused yourself, wouldn't you really just be like a crazy lioness trying to protect your children? Because to be honest with you, it happened to my mom. My mom had situations occur, and she shared it with me. And because of that, she was overprotective. And I believe that because she was that overprotective of me, it caused me to be the same with my daughter. So I guess I had an advantage to a degree, because it's some things that parents don't even discuss with their children, and so you're not aware about certain things. And the funny thing is, even with my mom telling me certain things, there were still things I was naive about. But that's why it's good to sit at the feet of older women and talk to them. They're wiser, especially righteous women. My grandmother's good friend, I shared this before, she used to always call me from time to time, and she would have myself and my brother, and bring our children over to her house, and she would cook for us. She loved to have us over for company, and we loved to be with her because she was funny. Sister Irma Cox, God bless her soul. She was funny. She's a good friend of my grandma Esther's, and she gave me some advice that I will never forget, and it was very helpful to me because it helped me be on alert. She would always call me and mess around with me and say, well, she wasn't messing around. I'm thinking she was, but she was not. Calling me and saying, are you dating anybody? And I'm like, no, but I would love a second husband because I wanted to have a son. We fantasize about having family and being married, and I would have loved to have gotten married again and maybe have a little boy. So I would tell her that, and she was like, no, you're still young. When those girls get grown, you'll still be young enough to get you a husband. Let those girls grow up in peace. They need to be in their own homes and be able to walk around the way they want to and be comfortable in their homes without some man looking at them. Because she said to me, believe it or not, a man is not going to look at your little girl as a little girl. He's looking at her as a woman. And I'm like, why would he do that? A little naive still. A little naive. But as I grew older and experienced things myself, I see that men do. They don't. A girl is a woman to a man, especially when she starts to develop. They get stimulated by what they see. And that's the scary thing, to have that predator in your home with your children. And we're trusting this man, and some of us allow our daughters to walk around any type of way outside. So imagine them walking around that way in their home, and with even less clothing on in their home, in front of this man who is not their father. Ladies, we got to be so much more careful and mindful about what we're doing. I had an incident, people leaving their children with these men, and then the men are molesting them. Like, how do you go to school at night or whatever it is you're doing, working a night shift job, and leave your daughter? I just don't. I mean, it's just something that I couldn't swallow. I just couldn't swallow it. But it's important to have relationships with your children, because some children won't tell if they don't feel comfortable enough with you to talk to you about anything. You have to open that up. And my mom did that. When her and my dad separated, she would always ask me. She had a boyfriend, and he was good to her, and he was good to us as well. But I didn't like him just because he wasn't my dad, and I gave him a hard time. I was very rude. Then I speak to him and stuff. He would come in and he was like, "Hey, my mother would like, Kenya, don't be disrespectful." He would always go, "Leave her alone." He'd say, "Leave her alone." He understood that he wasn't my dad, and it's something that a lot of children have a hard time processing when a family is torn apart. Even though I knew my dad and mom didn't need to be together, I still had a hard time adjusting to the boyfriend because he was not my dad. And he understood that, and he was fair as far as that was concerned. And my mom and I would have discussions, and then as they began to stay together, time had gone on, and I'm growing up now, and I'm developing too. And she would say, "Does he make you feel uncomfortable? Does he look at you funny? Ever say anything out of line to you?" She would always ask questions, and she would make sure that I was comfortable in his presence and stuff like that. And I would tell her, no. And I was young and naive, and she would tell me, what things men do. I'm not going to share it because it's a little bit much. But she would make sure that I maintained myself as far as how I acted around him and stuff like that, and leaving certain things in the bathroom, how you come out and you might leave something, and if he's there, he might go in the bathroom and find these things. So she was very overprotective, and she made me aware of my womanhood. So that was helpful because I was mindful of how I carried myself in his presence, and not just his, and men in general, adult men. And as I told you all before, I shared with you all before how men had always been looking at me as, sexually since I was like 11, 12. I've had men who pull their personal parts out in public to show it to me and stuff like that. Like, I've been experiencing these things for a long time, and to see these things and not understand, like, why are these men doing these things? And that's another topic that should be addressed, because a lot of our men are growing up watching porn, and they too have been sexually molested by men, by women. A lot of sexual deviancy is going on, and it's family, people that's closer to you, that have access to you. And it's just sad that we can't be amongst one another and just enjoy one another without worrying about which family member is a pervert. And what's really upsetting? A lot of us know who the family member is who's perverted, and keep bringing children around them. Now that's unacceptable, and you're complicit with the crime. I'm like, how do you know that somebody is a pervert? Been doing these things from generation to generation, and you still bring children over there in this space where it's unsafe. I don't understand that. I do not understand that. It's insane to me. I can't understand it. So I'm just saying, I'm speaking to women who have been scarred, who remember that and have bad relationships with their mom due to this. And fathers, you're not escaping the responsibility either. You need to talk to your children and have relationships with your children as well, and understand what is going on in their home, even if you are not present in that home. We are dropping the ball as parents, and our children are growing up messed up, scarred. Then you want to know why they're promiscuous or doing any other sexual thing that you feel like they should not be doing. You want to know why they're behaving this way. Demons pass when people are being abused sexually. And we're just so carefree. We're too free. Your children are your most prized possession. Treat them like such. If you have jewelry or whatever it is that you love, you putting that thing in a safe, a lockbox or whatever to protect it. Why do we not think our children are more valuable? I'm not understanding it. I'm not understanding it. And just for the sake of laying in some man's arms. No. I definitely would sacrifice my love life to protect my children. I would hate to know that I brought some man in my home and he messed up my children. And ladies, just stop doing it. It's hard. It's easy when you have a man in the house and they say, oh, I'm going to run out right quick and do so and so and so. And then you get comfortable doing that. Meanwhile, this man is left behind with your children and doing only God knows what to him when you're not watching. Nah. And pay attention to your children. Pay attention to that man, how he's looking at them. Excuse me. A lot of times, I think it's obvious when a man is checking out a child. I can see it. I don't like how you're looking at my daughter. You get offended and I'm apologizing to you. No, I don't like the way you're looking at my daughter. And, get him out of there. Period. And there's times when your daughter look a lot like you. And if the man is attracted to you, she's younger. Everything is positioned better. For the most part, most of us, our daughters look better than us. A better version of us because they're a younger version. So if he's attracted to you, yeah, he may very well be attracted to your daughter. So just be careful. I mean, these stories that I'm hearing is heartbreaking. And then these women are growing up with all this heartbreak. Trust issues for men, can't be in decent relationships. Some of them are very overprotective of their children as well. And accusing a man falsely, it's like there's no balance. Sometimes you're accusing the person wrongfully, and then sometimes you're just letting everything slide and leaving your child in the same room with the man all the time. And no, we got to do better. We have to do better. The father is not pleased. People are broken and messed up and living with trauma. And I mean, the extent that some of these men and women abuse as well, the extent that they go in doing these deviant acts, I mean, it's crazy. And they're demon possessed. They are demon possessed that you don't understand. You shouldn't be doing these things to a child. And then they know what they're doing because they're not doing it in front of you. They're waiting to have these moments alone with these children that you're providing them with. And it's not right. It's not right. While we're home with our children, talk to your children, because things go on in these churches. Churches are full of perversions and perverted men that are in leadership. And a lot of people are sending their sons to these men because their fathers are not there, and they want these men to be their mentors, and these disgusting men are doing depraved things to boys, messing them up. And mommy trusts this man, so okay, it must be okay. I'm not going to say anything. And years later, your son is telling you how this man was abusing them. There's a lot of disgusting things going on in this world, family. And we are responsible. We bring these babies in this world. Daddy and mommy, you are both responsible to cover and protect your children. Stop letting it be easy for people to mess them up. And then they feel unloved, unimportant, like they don't count. And then you want to know why they're behaving like they're doing. We have to pay better attention to our children. This is detrimental. It's serious. And the father is going to hold you responsible. Messing these children up. And everybody's always saying, oh, I don't know what's wrong with these kids. They did not raise themselves. These children don't raise themselves. So however they turn out and you don't like it, guess what? Guess who's to blame? Guess who's to blame? The parents, because they need them both. I needed my daddy. I needed my mommy. It took the two of them to create me. It takes the two of them to raise me properly. Teaching me, protecting me, and providing my needs. And when anything is lacking in those areas, I'm going to be messed up. Yeah, I'm going to be messed up. So we got to do better. Be aware. Be cautious. And if people get their feelings hurt about you not letting your child stay by them or whatever. I have friends who have never spent the night out because their mothers knew better. They may have experienced some bad things. And they say, you got a bed. You're going to sleep in your own bed. You're not spending the night over such and such a house. And you got characters that drink and do different things. They're not in their right minds. Why would you trust your child to be over there? Why? Don't do it. I'm telling you, it's better to prevent it than have to deal with it after. And that's all I want to say. I mean, this is so important. It's too much of this nastiness going on. Nastiness. In the churches, in your homes. There's no safe place. In school, there's no safe place for our children. That's ridiculous. That's crazy. And if you're not going to shield your child and protect your child, die for your child, and maybe kill for your child, listen, things, sometimes it is what it is. We always look at things like, oh my God, you're saying something like that. You think I won't kill a man if he's on top of my daughter and I enter that room? It's not justified? Oh yeah, by all means, I will protect mine. I will protect mine. Trust and believe that. And so we just let too much go. We let too much go. I don't know what's on our minds, what we're thinking about, what pains we're dealing with, that we would allow our children to be abused like this. But honey, it's time to wake up. Wake up. Do better by your kids. They did not ask to be born. You participated in an act to bring forth life. Now do your best to protect that life with yours if necessary, if need be, because this is it's insane. I'm so tired of hearing these stories, and now I go in a room and I look around. If it's 20 women in that room, it's almost a guarantee that maybe 17 of them have been molested or raped. That's a high percentage, and it could be prevented. And a lot of this mess starts when they're young. Family members, watch your children. Come on. Unfortunately, the village that it takes to raise a child is unsafe, because within the village there's a bunch of perverts. And a lot of times we know who they are. So stop pretending to be asleep. Wake up. Wake up. Pray for discernment. Ask the Father to show you. And keep connection with your children. Stop being just annoyed by them. Oh, go in your room. Go watch TV. Oh, go get on the computer. Do this. Oh, go outside. People sending their children outside alone and they're young. Foolish things. We do a bunch of foolish things because we just don't want to be bothered. You can't be bothered with the baby you made. Talk to them. I established that with my daughter since Kiana started school first. She started at 3. Every day. Anybody touch you down here, to the point where the poor child was like, Mommy, why you keep asking me that every day? Because it's scary. I just want to make sure that she's good. They go out in the world and we're sending them to these places expecting somebody else to care for them and love them as much as we do. And that's not the case. So you need to stay on top of things. We live in a scary world. Look at this place. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So we have to do everything in our power. Maintain communication. While you're home with your children right now, discuss these things with them. Let them know these certain areas, nobody's to touch them. Nobody is to take off your clothing. Nobody is to touch you, put their tongue in your mouth, put their tongue in your ear, kiss on your neck. These things are inappropriate and is not to be done. Let them know, even if another child is doing it, because sometimes children who are molested practice these behaviors on other children. So we just got to be careful. When the children are playing in your house, let them be where they could be seen. A lot of people have been raped or molested at family gatherings. A lot of times the family get together and the kids are in the back. Or if you have a house, the kids are downstairs or upstairs and the family is downstairs drinking and celebrating while the kids are upstairs playing, right? Playing. But there are some children who have been abused and then they practice that abuse on the other children. I heard stories like that too. There was never closed doors in my house, and it was always looking. What y'all doing? Checking on these kids. Must check on them. We've been a kid, and we've done things. We know. Yep, because it's too much freedom. We've done things. So your children are a product of you, and you already know with each generation, things get worse. So keep an eye on your children. Keep an eye on them. That's right. They are your responsibility. So... all right, I could go on, but there's no need. I'm just kind of sick and tired of people being so lackadaisical with the safety of their children. It's unbelievable to me. You know what it was like to be a child. Didn't you want to be shielded and protected and made to feel loved and important? Please, take care of your children. Please, family, I'm begging you, take care of your children. Don't put no man, no woman before your child. It's not that deep that you might be laying up with somebody at the expense of your child getting tortured. Please, family, please. I love you, and God bless you all.